What's up guys, Mark here. Today I decided to change the pace a little bit. I wanted to do a video about some hand-drawn brush pen lettering. I know this is pretty popular. A lot of people who are getting into lettering really want to learn this kind of style and how it's done, and I don't think there's that many good tutorials about it, so I just thought I'd have a crack at it. I don't do this style too much these days myself, but you know, I went through a phase where I was doing it a lot and I thought there's still a decent amount that I know about it, so yeah, I thought I'd make a video. So basically I've got just a bunch of footage here that I'm going to roll while I'm talking, and I'm using a brand of a brush pen called the Zebra, or Zebra depending on how you want to pronounce it. This particular pen is a hard tip one. I'm going to have some links in the description as well about a bunch of pens and stuff, so keep an eye out for that. But basically the reason I choose to use this pen, first of all, it's really small, so when I'm practicing I can, you know, do a ton of lettering without using a lot of paper. And the other reason is I think it's actually much easier for beginners when you're learning brush lettering than a lot of the other brush pens out there. For example, there's a popular pen called the Tombow brush pen, hopefully that's how it's pronounced, and that's quite a big brush, and I find that when you're trying to get the balance between thicks and thins and stuff like that, it's a lot more easier to make mistakes. So by using a pen like this, you have to apply a bit more pressure to it to really get it to bring out thick lines, and as a result, you know, it's just a lot easier in my opinion when you're still getting the hang of everything. Also, I just wanted to quickly say, I realized that there's parts throughout the video where my hand is kind of blocking the view of the pen. I'm really sorry about that. I'm still new to filming like this, and basically the way I did this, I had my phone, my Galaxy S8, just balancing between my hand and my face, so I couldn't really even see what I was doing that well, and I couldn't really tell that I was blocking the view a little bit, so yeah, sorry about that. Hopefully there's still some decent footage in here that you can learn a few bits and pieces. But yeah, anyway, so to talk a little bit more about how it's all done, the first thing I'd recommend that you do is draw guidelines. You can see here I've got just some really loose pencil guidelines. I can't tell you how important this is. I know I talked a lot about it in one of my beginner lettering tip videos, but basically, you know, as soon as I don't draw guidelines, my lettering just starts to get sloppy and bad. No matter how much I do it, I still make those same mistakes. And you can always just you know, use an eraser to get rid of them after anyway. So just spend a couple of seconds, draw some guidelines, and yeah, it'll instantly make your lettering better. The next thing I want to talk about is when you're drawing these letters, you should start, in my opinion, with the lowercase. It's just easier. Worry about the uppercase later on. Start with the lowercase, and when you're trying to draw letters, think about how many different strokes it requires to draw each letter. So when you're drawing a lowercase letter, if your pen is moving downwards, so if the stroke is going towards you, you should be thinking about applying more pressure. So for example, if you're looking at it now, I've got the thicks and thins lettering there. If you look at the T, the initial stroke where I go down the page is going towards me, and that should be where I apply more pressure, and as a result the lines are thicker. Then after that, when I get to the tail at the bottom, the pen starts to come upwards ready to start this H, and that's when the line gets thinner, so I should be releasing the pressure. That's really the real key kind of trick to it, to brush lettering, to make it look consistent and just get the ups and downs, or the thicks and thins set up correctly. You can see here I mix up a few different styles as well. The ups and downs version, I decided to apply a bit more pressure to the entire thing, just to give it a bit more weight and show you what you can do with these kinds of pens. Another tip that I'll give you is that you should start with words, when you're trying to get the hang of the thicks and thins and the ups and downs, you should start with the word minimum. It's really popular to practice with this, because if you look at it, it's literally just downstroke, upstroke repeatedly. So it's a really, really great way to practice getting that balance right. It's very, very popular among hand lettering artists and at workshops and stuff. I know a lot of people say, draw the word minimum, and it's just, yeah, exactly right. It's just a great way to practice the thicks and thins and the ups and downs. By the way guys, if you find this kind of video helpful, let me know. What I'm thinking of doing actually is just recording myself drawing the entire lowercase alphabet in a few different styles, and then also maybe another video for the uppercase as well, and then I can talk a bit more about each individual letter. But if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, let me know, because I'll basically decide based on how many people are interested whether I should actually go ahead and do it or not. Another really cool thing about this zebra pen is that it has a really fine tip. So if you make little mistakes, like you can see here, there's little bumps and stuff like that along the way. It's really easy for me to grab that pen and go back and just touch them up. You can also see that I've done a whole bunch of different shapes with my guidelines. I haven't just all done horizontal ones. I've mixed in some curves and stuff like that. And basically, as long as you keep all your letters upright and get the thicks and thins right, you can draw along pretty much any shape of guideline and you'll still have a really nice consistent look to your lettering. It'll still look good. Basically, the number one reason why sometimes you might look at lettering and think it's not that great, chances are it's probably off the guidelines. The letters aren't quite lined up correctly. And the second reason is usually people haven't quite got the thicks and thins right. I know that when I look back at a lot of my brush lettering from when I was starting out, that was a massive problem for me. I didn't quite have that balance properly, and as soon as you get one or two of those thicks in the wrong place, maybe you have an upstroke that's thick or a downstroke that's really thin, it becomes really obvious that something's wrong. So just try to make sure that you're not doing that too much. Another thing you might want to think about is just sketching out the letters with a pencil beforehand and then coming back with the brush pen over the top. It sort of takes some of the planning out and it allows you to just kind of focus on getting the pressure and the strokes right without having to think too much about exactly how the letters are supposed to look. I did some stuff like that when I was first starting out, and it's really a good way just to help you focus on getting those ups and downs and just trying to create that sort of muscle memory so that eventually when you try and draw like this, it's just going to feel totally natural instead. You could even actually print off an existing font, perhaps in a light grey or something like that, and then grab a brush pen and just trace over it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's no shame in it. We learn by copying after all. It's how we learn to do everything in life. So I would have no issue with that, and then gradually start giving yourself less and less of a help from those pre-drawn or traced letters and start freehanding gradually and stuff like that. And before you know it, if you're willing to put in a few minutes here and there, a couple hours a day, if you're willing to do that, you're going to get good at this in no time at all. Anyway guys, so this was really just about giving you a quick overview about some little tips and how to get started with this style of lettering. If you guys are interested, let me know, because I will be happy to make some proper tutorials and even maybe do some live streams where you guys can hang out and actually watch me draw and ask more specific questions as well. So yeah, just let me know in the comments section, and yeah, I'll try and get that happening. Thanks guys.